Do your Appian applications generate a large number of documents, and you need to verify that they are created correctly? Do you have to compare Excel files, emails, JSONs, or even PDFs? Or do your tests require dynamic data generated by external systems? With AAT, you can solve these challenges easily and in no time. Imagine that we are testing a banking application. In this application, there is a form where one of the fields requires a risk value calculated by an external system. Let's see how a tester would manually make the call to the external service to retrieve the required values. First, they would open an application that allows API calls, such as Postman. Then, they would configure the request by specifying the protocol, URL, and any necessary parameters. After executing the call, the response data is returned. As we can see in this example, the response contains a large number of values, making it difficult to find the one that is needed. This process is time-consuming and must be repeated every time this part of the application is tested. That's why we offer a solution. Thanks to AAT, this can be automated effortlessly using one command that only needs to be configured once. Let's see how we can use this command with another example. In this case, the application uses an external service to retrieve 3 currency exchange rates to euros, so we need to verify that the correct values are being used. Since these values change daily, we would otherwise need to update the test before every execution. Thanks to this command, we only need to configure the call once. The response from the service call is the following. As we can see, it returns a JSON with various values, though we only need 3 of them. To use the command, we simply select it, which will add a configuration button. Clicking it will prompt us for the necessary information to make the call. In this case, we just need to provide the service URL. When we click Next, we'll be asked to specify the values we want to store. In this table, we will put the JSON reference that we want and the variable names where the values will be stored. The 3 values are in the body of the response under the year key, so the references will be the following. And we will name the variables as euro, dollar, and pound, respectively. Once done, we click Close, and the command is configured. We also added new commands that will verify if the field values of the currency rate are the same as the values in the variables. As you can see, with a simple command that requires just a bit of configuration, we can use data generated from external systems into our tests, streamlining the process of creating tests and making automation accessible for scenarios involving external systems and dynamic data. Another common need in application testing is comparing or validating files generated by applications from user-submitted forms. For example, let's imagine an application that generates a PDF file based on a series of forms filled out by a user. In this case, we need to verify that the PDF is generated correctly with the input data. This task could be done manually, with a tester checking that the values are correct. However, let's now imagine that, depending on the input data, the PDF template changes, and we have around 20 or 30 different templates. Manually verifying that all templates are correct becomes a very tedious task and may result in errors slipping through, as we are all prone to mistakes. This is why the need to automate this process arises. With AAT, we provide the comparer command. This command allows you to compare 2 data sources regardless of their type. In other words, you can compare PDFs, Excel files, emails, calls to external systems, test variables, or even direct values. You can also compare between different types, such as a PDF against variables, an Excel file against an email, and so on. Let's look at an example where we have a test that has filled out a form and generated a PDF. And now we need to verify that the data in the PDF matches the data entered in the form. To do this, you simply need to specify the data you want to compare, since comparing the entire file often doesn't make sense. To achieve this, we select the comparer command and see a configuration button appear. When we open it, a form is displayed where we specify that we want to use a system file of the PDF type, and we will retrieve the data using the internal keys of the PDF. After clicking Next, the same form appears for the second data source. In this case, we select that we want to use direct values. When we click Next, a table appears where we specify the values we want to compare. In the first column, we enter the PDF keys that correspond to the values. In the second column, since we selected direct values, we enter what we expect to find in the PDF, which would be the same data entered in the form. With this, the comparer is now configured. When we run it, we'll see that the verification passes without any issues. As you can see, thanks to AAT, we can integrate external systems to our tests and also automate the comparison between two sources of data in a moment, with just 2 simple commands. Start transforming your testing process with AAT today. Thank you for watching.